Man, this gun sucks. If only I actually talked about it instead of using it as an example for a completely different topic in my last video. Oh, wait a minute. What's poppin', gamers? Today we're going to be talking about the CSRX, and the AWP, and how such a similar weapon could vary so drastically in power between similar games. Welcome to the That's the last time I'll use this song for the intro. I just thought reusing last video's setup was way too funny to pass up. So right, the CSRX. This is actually not the worst gun in the game, believe it or not. But Somefish63, scriptwriter, video producer, and channel owner of the hit YouTube channel Somefish63, why'd you say in the video title that it was the worst gun in the game? Are you lying to your audience? No. Asterisk. Because it is, just not in terms of efficacy. The weapon I would point to as worse than the CSRX is the M1014, the primary shotgun on Pulse and Castle. This gun is 100% a worse weapon than the CSRX, and between the two, I'd choose the bolt action 99 times out of 10 wayo. And shoot, I'm sure there are even still weapons that are definitely worse than Kali Sniper, but they all have something that this rifle doesn't. Alternatives. If you choose to use Kali, you're choosing to use your sniper whether you like it or not. But any other gun that is objectively worse is a gun you're able to opt out of if you so choose. That's a really big problem, especially with how unreliable this thing is. But let me tell you about a gun that's the antithesis of unreliable. The exact same bolt action sniper in CSGO, the AWP. And that might make you wonder how that could be. It certainly is strange. They have similar fire rates, similar damage, and adjustable zoom levels, and even the same mag size, though Kali puts an extra bullet in her chamber. But it's not an issue with the weapons themselves, it's a problem with the mechanics around them. Probably the sneakiest factor that really puts a bullet behind the CSRX is the DB&O system. In CSGO, they're either dead or they're not. There isn't a specific damage threshold you need to hit in order to actually confirm a kill, and that makes the AWP a lot more reliable. In Siege, on the other hand, if they have a Rook plate on or they're simply just a 3 armor, suddenly they'll just tank the shot and crawl away unless you specifically do something to finish them off. And even worse, if they're a 3 armor and they have a Rook plate on, then your gun goes from downing the guy to just leaving him at 10 health, which is just as bad as missing since now you need to spend over a second either swapping to the sidearm you should have been using in the first place or cycling another round. And even worse still, the damage drop off is terrible. Suddenly, a Jaeger without a Rook plate can just peek you and will eat a 300 Win Mag because you're using it at too long a range, which is like the whole point of a sniper rifle. Seriously, if a Castle ego checks you and you don't one-tap him with your first shot, he'll get 11 chances to beam you before you even get a second. And speaking of long ranges, the scope is just offensive. If you watched my last video, you'll know that the CSRX's promoted magnifications are wrong. They're actually a decent bit higher. So high, in fact, that it's actually a huge detriment. The AWP's variable zoom goes from about a 2.4x to exactly a 4x, while Kali Sniper starts at a 6x. This is what the range of your typical gunfight in Siege looks like. A 6x is terrible for this. And that's not to say anything about the higher magnification. 14x is literally only useful on plane, and that's if you choose to go out of your way and actually try and use it. To really drive home my point, let's compare the scope to a couple more games. In Overwatch, Ashe reduces your FOV to 60, and Widow and Ana drop it to 30. If you use 90 FOV, that's a 1.5x and a 3x. And this is what the general Widow kill will look like if you suck at her like me. In Call of Duty Black Ops 3, no, I'm not using a newer game, the multi-zoom scope starts at 1x and maxes out at 3x. This is the general range you'd be using the 3x in. In Apex Legends, they have a variety of scopes, but the highest variable zoom scope that's not on the Kraber is a 4x10. That is 2/3 the zoom of the CSRX. In Battlefield 2042, a 12x scope is the strongest zoom in the game. This is what you're going to be using the 12x zoom on. Why does Kali have the strongest scope out of all these examples? I'm not a big fan of her scope, if you couldn't tell. But, right, where was I? Right, handling of it. In Rainbow Six Siege, while you're ADSing, the hipfire gets smaller. This is true for every single gun in the game, except the CSRX. Okay, I guess they patched that, never mind. Something they haven't made a change to, however, is that the CSRX has about 550 millisecond ADS speed, which is pretty damn slow. Comparing this to the AWP, going from hipfire to ADS is, let me check my numbers, 67. It does have a settle time that can be pretty lengthy, but from right click to firing can be as short as 470 milliseconds with near perfect accuracy, and passable accuracy can be achieved at as little as 380. Not to mention, as soon as you fire, you can swap to a separate weapon, and as soon as you're ready to swap back, your op will be ready to fire again. The only thing like that you could do with Kali Sniper is this. Not exactly helpful. It's not all doom and gloom for the CSRX, however, since it does get one small win in having an above average reload speed. Of the 5 guns I tested, it beats out 3 of them, and from the eye test, it does have a slightly faster than average reload speed compared to most other primaries. The AWP has a notably slower reload and even gets beat out by the P90, and from the eye test, it's plagued with having one of the single slowest reloads that's not tied to an LMG. But like, let's be honest, the reload speed isn't really that big a deal for either weapon. Honestly, the biggest nail in the coffin for the CSRX has gotta be the competition it's up against. Take the 10 guns we just compared the reload times of, for example. Guns like the MP9 and the MPX have relatively comparable stats against unarmored opponents, but the MP9 pales in comparison to even a 3 armor with work plates if they have body armor equipped. The MPX handily takes 6 shots to kill, while the MP9 takes between 7 and 9 shots at short to mid range, which is just painful. And that's being generous to the MP9. Against a normal enemy that you'll actually see remotely often as a defender, it only takes 5 shots to kill before even adding an extended barrel, which reduces that even further down to 4. Oh, and not to mention, the P90 is pretty different between games too. In R6 against a 2 armor, it's a 5-shot kill with a nice 1-shot headshot. In Counter-Strike, it's only slightly lagging behind with a 6 to 8 shot kill and a 2-shot headshot, but it has a notably slower rate of fire, only having 857 RPM. That's almost 120 RPM slower than the R6 version, and the shots to kill were already favored against it. The P12 and the USP are another pretty lopsided comparison. The P12 is a clean 3 shots to kill in every situation barring rook armor, while the USP is a 6 to 7. The P12 also holds an extra 3+1 bullets in the mag, and, once again, the USP is a 2-shot headshot and the P12 is a 1. The M4A4 fires at 666 RPM, which is 4 less than the L85 on Sledge, but that's unfortunately the closest we're gonna get. The L85 is 3 damage shy of 2-shotting 3 speeds, but it very consistently gets 3-shot kills because of that. The M4A4 on the other hand is lagging pretty far behind, only managing to get a 5-shot kill. And, once again, the M4 is a 2-shot headshot and the L85 isn't. And finally, the crown jewel of Counter-Strike. The only weapon challenging the OpSpy's top dog. The gun most people think about when they hear someone say Counter-Strike. The AK-47 is worse than the UMP. For those of you not familiar with R6, the UMP has a clip tied to it of one of the best players in the world calling it the worst gun in the game. And yeah, he's not far off. The arguably best gun in all of Counter-Strike is outperformed by the perceived worst gun in the entirety of Rainbow Six Siege. The AK is a 4-shot, the UMP is a 3-shot, they can both 1-shot headshot, and they both fire at 600 RPM. The guns in Siege are just a different level of lethality. So having that much more lethality across the board, giving the reliability of the gun, making it straight ass to handle and giving it a stronger scope to the Kraber makes using this thing in any situation aside from very niche use cases basically a full-on throw. So what is to be done about this tragedy? For starters, 145 damage minimum is non-negotiable. The fact that your gun can be hard countered by someone pressing middle mouse at the start of prep phase is quite frankly unacceptable. I'd actually prefer higher, much higher even, in the range of like 180 to 200 damage. This would be for the same reason Doc heals 200 health, and even the weakest shotgun does 192 damage if you land every pellet. Any less would make it unreliable in some circumstances, which is the whole problem I have in the first place. If 180 is too much, as it'd be 1-shotting 3 speeds through barricades, keep it around 150, but make the damage drop off basically non-existent, even if that had to apply to Glaz's gun. They are sniper rifles after all. Next, the 6X has gotta go. Whether that be changing the zoom to an ACOG, letting it use any kind of optic, or shit, just slap some irons on it like the ballista for Black Ops 2 and I'd be chilling with that. Then I could stare at the ground C75 style and actually be able to see something for once. And lastly, reduce the ADS penalty. Completely inaccurate 95% of the way into ADS against just punishing for no reason, which, again, I just found out you already did that. Great job, Ubi. But even if we never get to see another one of these changes realized, at least we can take solace with the fact that Kali no longer has the worst machine pistol. Also, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Click this video to find out what the rest of the scope's real zoom levels are. Brush your teeth, bitch!